Chapter 66. The Ninth Commandment. Exodus chapter 20, verse 16. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbour. Exodus chapter 20, verse 16. False witness has primary reference to a court of law. While there is a general requirement of truth-telling, there is a difference of context. A court of justice must hear the truth from a witness, the whole truth and nothing but the truth, in order to expedite justice. A man whose purposes are evil is not entitled to the truth from us, nor to any communication. With regard to the processes of justice, the law concerning perjury is very specific. One witness shall not rise up against a man for any iniquity or for any sin, in any sin that he sinneth. At the mouth of 2 witnesses or at the mouth of 3 witnesses shall a matter be established. If a false witness rise up against any man to testify against him that which is wrong, then both the men, between whom the controversy is, shall stand before the Lord, before the priests and the judges, which shall be in those days. And the judges shall make diligent inquisition, and, behold, if the witness be a false witness, and hath testified falsely against his brother, then shall ye do unto him as he had thought to have done unto his brother. So shalt thou put the evil away from among you. And those which remain shall hear, and fear, and shall henceforth commit no more any such evil among you. And thine eye shall not pity, but life shall go for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot. Deuteronomy chapter 19, verses 15 to 21. Perjury today is routine in the courts and rarely punished. According to Deuteronomy chapter 19, verses 15 to 21, the laws of testimony are very strict. First, there must be corroboration before there can be conviction. 2 or more witnesses or forms of evidence are necessary. Verse 15. Second, if there are contradictions in testimonies given, there must be an investigation to determine if false witness has been given. This investigation will require both priests and judges, that is, experts in God's law as well as knowledgeable trial judges, verses 16 to 19. This requires that testimonies not only be heard, but also be assessed, so that, in a very real sense, not only the suspect on trial, but the witnesses also are liable to the court's judgment. To give false witness is as much against justice as the offence of the suspect. Third, this equivalence of the offence and the false testimony concerning it is borne out in the penalty for perjury. If the witness testified in a murder trial falsely, whether for or against the suspect, he incurred the death penalty for his perjury. The false witness received the penalty for the offence involved in the trial. This commandment concerns offences against our quote-unquote neighbour. The law also defines who our neighbour is. Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbour as thyself. I am the Lord. Leviticus chapter 19, verse 18. And if a stranger sojourn with thee in your land, ye shall not vex him. But the stranger that dwelleth with you shall be unto you as one born among you, and thou shalt love him as thyself. For ye were strangers in the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. Leviticus chapter 19, verses 33 and 34. In the parable of the Good Samaritan, our Lord makes it very clear that our neighbour includes all men. Luke chapter 10, verses 25 to 37, see verse 29. This commandment against false witness, thus, first of all, requires us to give priority to justice above ourselves and our loyalties to friends. Since we are not the source of justice, we cannot bend our testimony to suit ourselves or our friends. God's justice must prevail. It is more important that our friends be damaged than God's justice be frustrated, because where God's justice is neglected, all society suffers. Second, our neighbour must include all men. We are not the judge. God is, and both the judges and the witnesses will be judged by him. Therefore, God's justice must prevail, and all society prospers when this is so. Our testimony must not be partial to some men, but rather faithful to God's justice. Third, this commandment has to do with speaking with words. Unlike God's other creatures on earth, man speaks. He has a vocabulary, and words are central to living. When a man defiles words and speech by using them to lie, he then helps damage communication between men. Thinking requires words, and speech is an expression of thought. False witness pollutes language and thinking. It is an aspect of a radical social disorder, and to be indifferent to perjury is to assume as normal the reduction of language from a means of communication to a means of warfare. Marxism regards language as a tool to be used as an instrument for class warfare. Its abuse of language is an aspect of its abuse of man. Language is a wealth men take for granted and which they abuse casually. The sometimes fragile ties which make community possible depend very strongly on language. From the evolutionary perspective, language as we know it has been called an artificial language as compared to grunts, screams, and various similar thoughtless and wordless expressions. In all such thinking, words and man are separated from God and the image of God in man. As a consequence, for such men, language is merely instrumental and expressive, like grunts of joy or belching. For the Christian, thinking, talking man is the recipient of the revelation of God, the inscriptured word. God created man in his image to hear and to receive the word of God, and to speak the praise of God, to serve him and to rejoice in him. The various languages express the growth and character of a people. The growth of evolutionary thinking has sharply eroded language and meaning. Greetings on going and coming were once religious. That is, goodbye was once God be with you. And in Spanish, vaya con Dios means go with God. The forms and acts of life were invested with meaning because, all things being God's creation, all things derive their meaning from Him. Even among cultures where the shamans were and still are given to trances and possessions, which we see as demonic, the emphasis was still on the spoken word. The shaman spoke of the mandates from the spirit world, and the people waited for his word. The word was a power word because it was an index, ostensibly, to the true order of being. With evolutionary thinking, the word has been eroded. What meaning can it have in a universe of chance? How can it communicate when no meaning exists? Given the meaninglessness of the universe, it follows that man is also meaningless, and so too is speech. This led Darwin to a disturbing conclusion. But then, with me, the horrid doubt always arises whether the convictions of man's mind, which has been developed from the mind of the lower animals, are of any value or at all trustworthy. Would anyone trust in the convictions of a monkey's mind, if there are any convictions in such a mind? The destruction of word and speech by such thinking means the denial of valid communication and revelation. Where the word of God is doubted or denied, there is in time a cynicism for all words. Language is cheapened and society is damaged. This commandment forbids false witness. To bear false witness is to disobey God. It is a form of insubordination and an assertion that our way is best. To bear honest and true witness means that we believe that God's justice and order are best for us and for all men. It involves a respect for truth and for speech. It is also related to prayer because it recognizes the majesty of the truthful witness and God's ability to hear our every word and to know our every thought. Hence, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbour.